Right, so this is Lana Clark
Correct.
here at Cal Lutheran. So my first question for you is, what is your current position and how did you get started in PR?
So, as Director of Stewardship, one of the biggest parts of my job is saying thank you. And I got pulled into my job, I will say got pulled into it by the person who was vacating my position. She helped start grooming me. I used to work in alumni and parent relations. And about 3 or 4 years ago, she knew she was going to retire and started bringing me along on visits with her to see if it was something I enjoyed doing, and I really did. And when it came time for the position to be open, it gave me a leg up. So having that mentorship opportunity is probably the biggest reason I took the job and was interested in the job of stewardship. So I was already working at the university, and I think having an opportunity to work with somebody directly and have somebody guide you through the process is one of the biggest things that was helpful to me in being successful in getting this job. I think also one of the things I had to do was get another level of education taken care of. I did my graduate studies while I was here at CLU. When I started looking around, people at director levels and above at the university all had an advanced degree of some kind. So for me, that was a sign that if I wanted to move up, that I was going to need to get my master's degree. And so I think it's being conscious of the world around you and seeing what type of training do the people in positions that you want to graduate into have, or what type of training, if it's not an advanced degree, what skill sets do they have, or what do they bring to the table that maybe you could start to work on.
Walk us through your average day. How many hours do you work per week on average?
So it can vary. Typically it's a 40-hour week with, evening and weekends. It's not always a traditional 40 hours. It's 40 hours in the office plus events and checking emails occasionally when you're not at work at your desk.
What did you enjoy most about the field? What are you most passionate about?
I think getting to connect a donor to a student and being that point of connection, I get the most joy out of in my job. Letting a donor know how they made a difference, showing them impact, whether that's writing an impact report for them, whether that's scheduling a visit to campus so they can actually meet their student, or if it's just sending a thank you note and expressing gratitude on behalf of the president or on behalf of my VP. Those are all things that I help do. And I think knowing on my side, getting to work with students like yourself, makes it real and it's genuine, that I really do appreciate that opportunity to say, look, you helped a student like Kevin. He wouldn't be here without you, and then that inspires them to give again, and it just kind of creates this amazing cycle that I get to be part of.
So what are some hardships of your job, some challenges?
I think the biggest challenge in my job is time. And I think it's the same problem everyone has where I wear a lot of hats. If you work in events at all, they're a huge time suck, and you'll hear people that work in events say that and it might be an event that only lasts for 20 minutes, like this past weekend, that dedication only lasted for about 20 minutes, but it probably took about 60 hours of work. So it's trying to coordinate that on top of your other daily tasks, and that's an event that's not going to be replicated year in and year out. So trying to figure out what you shift in your daily schedule to make room for something that's a one-time event, along with the other duties that are going on all throughout the year.
So what do you think is the most important skill to have in the PR profession? If you ever are hiring somebody, what are you looking for when hiring?
I think it's important to have focus, and that's different than drive. I think people can be very driven, and sometimes that keeps them from seeing other opportunities or other ways of doing things. I think being very focused and intentional, those maybe are 2 words I would say: focused and intentional on what you're doing, being present in what you're doing. So I wouldn't have had that opportunity to work with my mentor if I hadn't been open to it. Her position wasn't something I was actually striving for. I never actually considered working in the field I'm currently in until I had that opportunity to be shepherded by somebody. So I say be focused, but be emotionally available to what is out there. Take the time with what you're working on. Be diligent about what you're working on, and then also dream a little bit about what you want to do next.
Any advice for someone entering the field?
Get experience. Volunteer if you have to. I think finding people who can actually speak to your qualities in a letter of recommendation, or if they're getting a phone call from the employer that's looking at hiring you, can make a big difference. And I've been on the receiving end of that, where I've had students. I used to work with student ambassadors, so I've written a lot of letters of recommendation. That's important, to be able to really go to somebody that, not just saying Kevin's a great guy, he's wonderful. I want to be able to speak to who you are as a person, so that the person reading the letter is like, no, this person actually worked with this student and knows who they are, and can speak to the quality of their character and their work. I would say get as much experience as you can while you're a student, because it's a lot easier to do it when you're a student, to work somewhere for 3 months and then go try something else. When you do that on your resume as a professional, it looks like you're just hopscotching around, and it doesn't make you look like you're committed to a job. So I think the new norm is people move jobs frequently, but you won't have the same kind of opportunity to kind of try out different jobs the same way as when you're a student. So that would be my advice: is try as many things, put on as many different hats as you can, and then see what feels good, and then find a person that wears that hat, and then try to get mentored by them.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Of course.